Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Warren, in association with 32 Red, Foot Asylum and Raynham Steel, brings to you a 12-round contest for what is now the vacant interim, WBO Bantamweight Championship of the World. Now, our supervisor is Marianne Palatin. The British Boxing Board of Control steward in charge is Martin Flory. Our timekeeper tonight is Brian Heath from Sutton Coldfield. And our judges are Phil Edwards from Preston, Rose Lacen from Philadelphia, and Ingo Barabas from Stuttgart. And when the action gets underway, our referee is Steve Gray from Fleetwood. Time now to introduce the boxers. First of all, in the red corner, he is wearing the black shorts with the silver flash. He weighed in at 117 pounds. He brings to the ring a record of 30 wins, 16 of those coming by way of knockout, just the one defeat on his ledger. He is from Bacolod City, from the Fighting Philippines. He is El Matador. He is King Arthur Villanueva. And his fellow challenger across the ring for this title in the blue corner. He brings to the record a ring record of 24 wins, 3 defeats, 20 of those wins coming by way of knockout. He is the former IBF Super Flyweight Champion of the world. He's unbeaten in 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tete time. Please welcome Zolani Tete. 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant interim WBO Bantamweight Championship of the world.
Okay, boys, if I call break, you take one step back. Don't throw any punches around the back of the head. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves, touch them up. Good luck, lads.
So referee Steve Gray just clearing the ring ahead of this contest scheduled for 12 3-minute rounds.
For the first round.
So we're underway, the battle for the vacant interim WBO Bantamweight World title being contested between Zolani Tete, the southpaw, operating in the red boots and red trunks. His opponent in the orthodox stance in the knee-high black socks is Arthur Villanueva from the Philippines. Tete, a former world champion at super flyweight, hoping to get himself back and busy and in the world championship mix by securing this interim crown tonight. Unbeaten in 4 years, Zolani Tete competing in his 3rd consecutive contest on these shores. Arthur Villanueva fighting here in the UK for the first time. Counter left hand was a beauty from Tete, who found his range immediately with that southpaw left. And that is going to be a difficult proposition for Arthur Villanueva to overcome. How does he negate the advantage in height and reach that Zolani Tete enjoys?
Well, you've got to try and get under the reach of Tete, and also plenty of feints. You've got to try and draw that long right hand there of Tete, just to try and then charge him inside. But Tete's ring generalship is superb. He takes the centre of that ring, forces you around the ring with that front foot, forces you to make mistakes. You don't punch when you feel like you want to, you punch when you feel like you need to punch, and that's the difference with Tete. Such command, such poise.
Snaking right hand to the body from Tete. Villanueva, one of his ring monikers is El Matador, but one suggests he's going to have to perhaps play the onrushing bull if he hopes to get inside the tentacle-like arms of Zolani Tete here tonight, falling short with that right hand, but at least he doubled it up and not just producing a one-and-done offense, because if he does so, well, the first one is likely to fall short unless he quickens up his feet.
But again, you see the footwork of Tete there. Just no, Villanueva commits himself to the attack, and Tete just takes 2 steps back because he got such a wide stance and such long legs as well, keeps himself safe at all times, gets out of trouble, and always looking to fire back.
Heads came together just momentarily there, and it's interesting, the sole loss on Arthur Villanueva's record in his 31-fight ledger came on a technical decision when he was stopped. When the bout went to the scorecards after a cut, that was in the 10th of a 12 round of a world title challenge against the Puerto Rican Olympian Joe Arroyo back in 2015.
Because Tete puts that front foot so close to you, it forces you to throw punches when you don't want to. I've just seen earlier on Villanueva threw that right hand. Tete made him fall short with the left hand counter over the top, and I think Villanueva's cut as well, just in the corner of his right eye, on top of the nose.
Keeping a close eye on that. We're going to have to wait, see how significant the cut is. There's been no notification as to whether it was caused by a shot or a clash of heads, but the heads did come together in that opening round, and there is the injury that's been sustained above the right eye for Arthur Villanueva. Let's see if we can take a closer look. Coming together violently there.
Clear clash of heads. I don't know whether Steve Gray would have seen that or made it aware. Yes, I just see Steve Gray looking to the judges, telling them it was a clash of heads.
Yep, Steve Gray, Steve Villanueva going around immediately, but Steve Gray has just informed the respective corners and the officials at ringside that the cut has been caused by a clash of heads. So if that cut causes the contest to be stopped before the 4th round, it will be declared a no contest. If the same injury causes the bout to be stopped after the 4th round, then the rounds that have been completed will be scored and we will go to the scorecards.
And a clear first round there for Zolani Tete. Looked excellent.
So into the second round we go. This matchup between two accomplished boxers. Good right hand scored by Villanueva to start the round, and he's trying that same shot again, just falling short with that second attempted right hand.
Well, he'll feel more urgency now for Villanueva to get some work in. Try and pick up some rounds if he can.
Falling short with that left hand, he's going to have to take it to Tete, particularly after conceding the opening round. Tete such a sharp puncher, particularly with his straight shots. And he'll no doubt be targeting that injury. What a cracking southpaw left. Villanueva nods to acknowledge it because he was hit right on the button by a terrific left hand.
And the things with Tete, there's no telling his punches, no little movement, no little like move down with the arm before he throws it. He doesn't even move the shoulders. It's just wham, straight away. So like a little whip.
Standing in a wide-legged posture, Zolani Tete completely commanding the ring as he wants to this point in the second round, dangling that right hand down by his belt line now. And really, Arthur Villanueva has done precious little in terms of offense in this second session. Out of punching range for him, falling short with his attempted forward forays. And Zolani Tete in complete control, trying that rapier-like left hand again, but he just fell short on that occasion, did the former world champion. But then Villanueva falls short with his own backhand. Good right hook out of the southpaw stance from Tete.
Well, Villanueva's trying to counter, but I don't think it's not going to work for him. And if you've got to counter, you've got to throw in flurries, but even then, Tete, being such a big fighter, he can have that wide stance because he can lean back on the back foot, and he's still going to make Villanueva fall short. Villanueva has to commit. He might have to take a punch coming forward, but he's going to have to commit. He's going to have to try and push Tete back. Heads in then, again, close. And you'll get that with an orthodox and a southpaw fighter when they're both committing, especially with the backhands, and heads might clash.
Good right jab from Tete once again. Villanueva trying to get some movement from the body and head going. Good right hand to the body from the man from the Philippines. Tete very patient, very efficient. Getting his feet tangled with the Toblerone at ringside. Arthur Villanueva. Referee Steve Gray on it in an instant. But again, look at the lead legs clashing between the orthodox and the southpaw fighter, as well as the heads, which has caused Villanueva some problems, sustaining that injury in the opening round.
Villanueva's doing some good work. He's getting that front foot on the outside, but Tete is so big for the weight that he's still not having no joy from doing the right things, Villanueva. It's all, oh, look at that, that's a lovely well-timed. And again, a nice wide stance, just takes a little lean back onto the back foot. There's Tete. And see, because he's so big, Tete takes a little half a step back. Villanueva was going to attack, half stopped himself. You know, he knew he wasn't going to reach the target, then it was in no man's land and got caught there with a clear left hand there from Tete. He's nice and patient in his work, but totally dominant at the moment.
So the corner working assiduously on that eye. Didn't bleed too liberally during the course of that second round.
Round 3.
So into the third round we go. This contest scheduled for 12. The interim WBO World Bantamweight title on the line. Zolani Tete has boxed very well in the opening 2 rounds. He's scored with a couple of eye-catching punches. And that's a trip to the canvas for Arthur Villanueva. And it was a slip, but a right hand helped him on his way down. Referee Steve Gray ruling it a slip immediately. Counter left hand again attempted by Villanueva, by Zolani Tete, competing in his 27th professional contest tonight. 20 wins, coming by way of knockout in his 24 victories. 3 losses, one of those inside the distance. Counter left hand again wasn't too far away from Tete. Villanueva competing in his 32nd bout tonight. He too had just 1 loss in that abortive title bid against Joe Arroyo. Missing badly with his punches on that occasion, Villanueva. Well, at this tempo, you have to assume that it's suiting Zolani Tete down to the ground. He's the taller fighter. He's the man with a superior array of shots, at least demonstrated to this point. And a cracking left hand, followed up with a salvo of punches. And all of a sudden, Villanueva is backing up. He exploded with cobra-like quickness, Zolani Tete. And it landed flush on the point of Villanueva's chin. Caused him to become just a little bit disorganized as he recovered from that sharp single shot and the follow-up which came after it. So a minute to go in this third round. Zolani Tete landing his best punch of the contest, and he's landed some eye-catching shots in rounds 1 and 2. But my goodness, he exploded with that backhand. And Arthur Villanueva dipped at the knees. Falling short with that lead hook, Villanueva, and he's lucky he wasn't countered there as Tete pivoted off. He's looking just a little bit flat to say that this is an interim world title bout. Villanueva perhaps just trying to figure out a way to get inside. He's also dealing with the adversity of a cut that he sustained in that opening round. So things not going his way so far. The man from the Philippines fighting in the UK for the first time, although he has fought outside of his homeland on previous occasions in Japan, the United Arab Emirates, and the USA as well on 2 occasions.
Oh, look at that, lovely again. Just that little step back there from Tete. He's done that in the last 2 rounds as well, but that one was a peach of a punch. Villanueva having to hold on, and he's struggling. The problem is with Villanueva is he's squaring up his back foot when he throws that right hand, and that just gives him all sorts of trouble. He's squared on when he's getting hit there with the left hand from Tete, whose boxers are superb, patient, calm.
Pantay kasi ang straight Arthur. Importante mabantayan mo yung straight.
10 seconds. Seconds up. Round 4.
So into the 4th round then. And It's a busier start to the fourth round in terms of intent from Arthur Villanueva. Our scorecards, he has conceded the opening 3 rounds. He was on the end of a big southpaw left in the 3rd round from Zolani Tete, demonstrating blistering hand speed. And again, he's falling short with single shots, is Villanueva, and that could well lead him to walk onto the end of more sharp single punches. Zolani Tete with a 74% knockout ratio, 20 of his 24 wins coming via the short route. And he's standing flat-footed and not really presenting much movement in front of Tete is Villanueva.
Well, he knows every time he commits himself to an attack, when he misses, he pays the price. He gets countered with sharp punches, so he's trying to pick the perfect time to attack. That's not going to come with Tete. I think you just got to take a risk. And I know it's a risk that might get you knocked out, but I think he has to take that risk going forward. The only way he's going to win the fight is pushing Tete back. He needs to get a little bit of respect from Tete, who's just arrogantly dominant right now. Because Tete sits, he's got such a wide stance, it makes you feel closer than he is with that front foot, but he's sat on that back foot, cocked, ready to get the power shot with the backhand in the play.
Tete competing in his 4th bout on UK shores. We first saw him in this country when he outclassed and stopped Paul Butler. Came the IBF super flyweight title at the Echo Arena. The subsequent 2 contests here on these shores were at that same venue, so fighting outside of Liverpool in the UK for the first time tonight. But because of his familiarity with that city, some people refer to him as the Scouse South African. Here he is competing at Leicester Arena, new venue for boxing here. Dubbed the City of Champions, given Leicester City's fairy tale success in the Premier League last year. But the Leicester Riders, the basketball team who used this venue, they won their 2nd straight British Basketball League title, their 3rd in 5 years. Took a 2nd consecutive league and trophy double after their league success, which was secured last weekend. Left hand was parried effectively by a 2-glove defense of Arthur Villanueva, but again he's just having trouble raising his own tempo and work rate. And right now this is suiting Zolani Tete down to the ground, doing as he wants. Now he's been inconvenienced a little bit more as Villanueva came forward with a 2-fisted salvo. But otherwise, it's all Zolani Tete doing pretty much as he wants up in the boxing ring.
But he's just frustrating Villanueva. He really is. He's just peppering him with the jab, encouraging him to make an attack, knowing he's going to fall short, and then just getting that southpaw left hand in the face.
Sorry. Okay, put some Vaseline on him. While I do this, just breathe and go through. That's it. Just breathe and go through. You're doing it right. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on. Just do what only Zolani Tete can do for you. Just do it. Just do it. That's the key. Nothing else. Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. You know how.
How easy is that for the corner? Just say to your fighter, just do what Tete does.
Steve Gray just asking for some of the excess petroleum jelly to be wiped from the face of Zolani Tete. So the 5th round underway, heads coming together there as Zolani Tete dipped down low after winning that IBF super flyweight title at the expense of Liverpool's Paul Butler, who was 17-0 at the time when they met back in 2015. Tete ultimately vacated that crown because he wasn't happy with the money being offered to fight Joe Arroyo. So subsequently, that is how Villanueva and Arroyo. Now that's nasty. Is that an injury that's being sustained? Oh my goodness. Seems able to walk it off as Zolani Tete, but he's going to take some time to recover. Steve Gray giving him some time after a knee Got him in a rather awkward position. So a touch of gloves to resume the action. But after those problems outside of the ring in terms of management, Frank Warren has signed up Zolani Tete and is hoping to guide him back towards world title glory. Man who currently holds the fully fledged WBO title is Villanueva's compatriot, Marlon Tapales. So what a roadblock that would be. Villanueva goes low with the head once again. If Villanueva were to come out on top and win this interim title, then he would be mandated to face his compatriot. But as things stand, in the 5th round of this contest, it has been all Zolani Tete.
And it's all to do with that southpaw jab and the southpaw jab and the footwork. That front foot there just intimidating Villanueva. He just doesn't feel safe in it. He doesn't feel safe or comfortable. You know, he just feel like he can throw from a relaxed position. It's always tense. I know he's playing catch up as well. This is where the mistakes will show. But he has to be coming forward. More head movement, staying as low as possible, you would feel, and trying to dummy and draw the lead of Tete.
Snaking left hand got through the guard again. Villanueva from Tete. But in many respects, Villanueva, one understands that he's trying to draw a feint, but in many respects he's looking busy doing nothing. Seconds ticking away in this 5th round. And Tete, other than the untidy charge at the start of the round, hasn't really been bothered or taken out of his own comfort zone. He's doing things on his terms and at his tempo, and Villanueva is going to have to do something different than what he's demonstrated in these 5 rounds to this point if he hopes to have his hand raised and win this WBO interim world title.
So Villanueva, he's got no answers for Tete right now, and I think, you know, he's waiting to counter Tete. That's not working for him at all, hasn't, and it was obvious that wasn't going to work. He needs to draw the lead. He needs to be feinting with the front foot. It's just there with a little, just where Villanueva squares up, that's all I think it is. Oh, dangerously low there with the right hand, but I see why Steve really thought it was a knee, because Villanueva's been squaring up and bringing that right knee forward quite a lot. That's just, he's just pushing the head down there of his opponent there, and he's probably just firing back in between the legs. It's such an easy night's work so far here for Tete. Against a guy who's rated above him in the ratings. He's #1 in the WBO rankings.
Seconds out, round 6.
So into the 6th round, Arthur Villanueva, well, I think it would be a generous observer indeed who would give him a share of any round to this point. Zolani Tete in complete control from the vantage point of our commentary position here ringside at the Leicester Arena. Good left hand again. Perhaps some of the power was taken off it by the erected defense of Arthur Villanueva, but then he's just been tagged with the same shot once more. As you pointed out, Barry, it's almost as though he's intimidated from what's coming back, but it's almost as though he's hypnotized by the tempo that's being set by Tete as well.
Well, Tete won't take any risks, so Tete's happy to do this. He'll frustrate you until you take the risks, and then he'll make you pay for that. But I think Villanueva's at that point right now where he has to take those risks. Otherwise, it's just going to be if he can see it to the 12th round, it's going to be another 6-7 rounds, exactly the same format.
Well, certainly the onus is on the man in black to try and change things around. Arrived here in the UK last weekend, 2-hour drive up from London along with his team. He's been training at Ajmal Butt's Unity Gym here in Leicester. Although there hasn't been much boxing action in Leicester in recent years, regular fight action used to take place at the Granby Halls, which has since been demolished. So many fine fighters have come out of this city. Chris Pyatt, the only world champion to emerge from Leicester, the former WBO world boss. Tony Simpson, who I suppose had the misfortune of challenging for the world title when marvelous Marvin Hagler was the world middleweight champion. They're solid professionals as well. Rendell, Two-Tone Monroe, Tony McKenzie, Tim Wood. So it's a solid fighting city as Leicester. Perhaps the action here tonight will be the start of an increasing trend in fight action here in what is known as the City of Champions.
You think that Tete, he could put his foot on the pedal now, Tete, start letting those punches go. I think Villanueva now is just feeling very, very sorry for himself. Nothing's working for him. It's almost like a sparring session now for Tete, and you feel that if he did put his foot on the gas, especially from range where he doesn't have to take any risks, that he would get the stoppage that is coming, you feel.
Falling short with a single right-hand lead again, Villanueva was knocked off balance by a rather muscular-looking left hook that caught him somewhere around the bicep. But his shots, Tete's seeing them from a mile away. He's launching his attacks from too far out, and they're easy to evade for the South African boxer. If he starts bringing that uppercut into play and finds a range with it, then what has been a tough night's work so far for Arthur Villanueva could get even more difficult. This man in complete control through the midpoint of the contest.
Well, the problem that Villanueva has is when he throws his right hand, his backhand punch, he's squaring his foot up. He's bringing that right foot with him, which means he's getting too close to the target of Tete. They go chest to chest, he can't do any work, so he needs to turn from the waist when he throws that right hand. Gives him opportunity to work away when he does get close to Tete.
So draw him, get him, draw him, then once upgraded, then attack the uppercut, because that's what the better uppercut you figure and get that means here he has check the time, check him, draw him, get the control, then we go back and bounce you cook enough. Yes. Yes. Here he has.
Seconds out. Round 7.
Well, 6 rounds completed, a potential 6 rounds to go in this battle for the interim WBO World Bantamweight Championship. And in amongst the instructions being put Zolani Tete's way over in that blue corner was a clear instruction to bring the left uppercut into play. Villanueva not really committing on his attacks. When he does, it tends to be of the single shot variety, and for the most part he's falling short. Now all that combination of elements presents the perfect target for a left uppercut. And Zolani Tete with an arcing left hand there sends a shower of spray from the head of Arthur Villanueva, but he did manage to ride it a little bit.
Well, he's got to change his attacks, Villanueva. He either got to double up the jab and come forward, keeping that left foot on the outside, so he's moving to his left, or have a big feint, over-exaggerate the feint with the foot, try and draw something out of Tete, and then jump on him with a combination of punches. Right now, this just throwing single jabs and then squaring his feet there with the right hand is just easy night's work for Tete, who still hasn't pulled the trigger yet. Zolani Tete, he's waiting for Villanueva to be really on his last legs before he lets his punches go.
Well, Villanueva turned professional at 19, took up boxing at the age of 16. But before finding the noble art, he was a keen chess player. Did so to a rather competitive level as well. What I gleaned from speaking to his coach earlier, good right jab from Tete. That brings to mind Lennox Lewis, who was fond of chess, used to say it helped him with his strategizing in the boxing ring. As we've pointed out previously, whatever strategy, whatever the plan A is here for Villanueva, patently isn't working, and he's got to come up with something different. He's fencing with his lead hand, knocking down the right hand jab of Tete, but he's not landing any meaningful offense of his own, and Tete is barely breaking a sweat beneath the ring lights here.
Well, when you're boxing a thinking fighter like Tete, you have to make them rush their work. You don't want to make them use, you want to try and get that so they can't use their brain, they can't calculate things. So you make them rush everything they do, and that's what you try and do. And Villanueva's haven't got the urgency in his work to do that, and maybe haven't got the skill set to do it either.
Good left hand to the body from Tete. Again, Villanueva looking incredibly one-paced up there. In terms of his thinking, he's appearing pretty one-dimensional as well. Driven backwards by a left hand, which didn't land flush from Tete. But Tete now just working him into the corner, and this place of confinement is not a good place to be for Arthur Villanueva. closing seconds of this 7th round. But in many respects, it's been a carbon copy of what has gone before. And from Arthur Villanueva's point of view, that is not what he needs. Trailing heavily in the contest, Zolani Tete, well, he's closing in on the interim WBO World Bantamweight title.
Well, it comes, there's the belt there, beautiful belt. It comes to a point. It comes to a point in a fight where you have to change your tactics when things are clearly not working for you. I'm not saying you have to be gung-ho and just fight with your face, but you have to do something different. And if he doesn't do something different, then he's let himself down, Villanueva. Not by losing the fight, by just conceding the decision the way he's boxing at the moment. He's just not doing anything different, the same pattern that clearly hasn't worked for him. And Tete doesn't have to change or have to up the pace, because he's controlling everything with that long jab, that long right hand.
10 seconds. Seconds up. Round 8.
So into the 8th round we go then. Zolani Tete, for my money, hasn't lost a round in this contest to date. Arthur Villanueva sustained a cut in the opening round. His corner have done a good team staunching the flow of blood. It was an accidental clash of heads ruled by referee Steve Gray. But the blood flow has been staunched effectively. He was tagged with a big left hand, a southpaw left from Tete in the 3rd round. That caused him to become disorganized for a few moments. Since that time, considering that this is a interim world title shot, Villanueva's performance has been tepid, to say the least. And that's not to criticize, but he's been devoid of ideas. His energy has remained one-paced, hasn't demonstrated much variety, and for the most part he's remained in this posture, and his attempted forward forays have been nullified by the footwork and ringcraft of Zolani Tete.
Well, I've been watching Villanueva this week, and he's a good fighter, and he can be very competitive at a high level, which is obviously is. This, you got to give Tete the credit, but he's put him in his place early, and he's so awkward and so big that Villanueva, it was a bit one-dimensional. That's been his main problem in previous fights. Even when he's won, you could see that, and it's more evident against someone like Tete right now.
Left hand wasn't too far away from Tete. Mentioned Villanueva took up sport of boxing at the age of 16 before turning pro at 19. Tete first entered the gym at the age of 8 after being harassed by bullies. Had an amateur career that spanned more than 400 contests before making his debut just after his 18th birthday back in 2006. Has ambitions to open a gym in the Eastern Cape, which is his home region. Nick Durant had a thriving gym down in Johannesburg. He was given the time-honored 10 bell toll prior to this interim world championship bout. Visited Nick Durant's gym previously down in Johannesburg, and it was a real bustling fight factory, and Durant such a pivotal figure in South African boxing during his time as a trainer, manager and fight figure. Left hand driven in was parried by the forearms of Villanueva, who again hasn't really done much to make things uncomfortable for Tete. Cracking left hand around the corner, and then Tete pivoting off. Arcing punches being thrown in now by Villanueva, who's walking in square.
He missed with everything in that little exchange there, did Villanueva, but it was the right idea. You've got to commit yourself. You really have now. He's at the stage now where he's impossible for him to win the fight unless he gets really lucky with a big shot. But he's got to try. This is an interim world title fight. You know, he's on the verge of a big thing here. And the corner got to be giving this guy some different advice. And I don't know what they're saying to him, but if they're just saying keep doing what you're doing, it's the wrong thing, obviously. But this guy's superb. Tete, he's excellent. He's patient, his work. He frustrates everyone. And as good as Tete is, if he wants to sell himself to the wider public, he has to start putting his foot on the gas now and getting, when he got an opponent on the hook like he has Villanueva, start turning the screws. He's good enough to do it.
10 seconds.
Let's see it.
Seconds out. Round 9.
So we move into the 9th round of this battle for the interim WBO World Bantamweight title. As Zolani Tete, the southpaw in the red trunks trimmed with grey, is in complete control. He's won his last 2 contests by 7th round stoppage. As Zolani Tete. And given the dominance that he's exerted throughout this bout in just about every facet of the game, as Villanueva, to his credit, is trying to up the tempo and is letting big arcing punches go. But given that he is in such a masterful position, that's a beautiful right hand again, catching the onrushing Villanueva and causing him to readjust his boxing stance.
Some of the upper body movement there from Tete, just that previous combination from Villanueva, making him miss with everything, just by turning the shoulders and the hips. Just really good vision. He really is a superb fighter, is Zolani Tete.
He's so big at the weight, Zolani Tete, 5 feet 9 inches tall. A massive 72-inch reach as well, that there are ambitions, if he prevails tonight, to maneuver him up to 122 pounds to challenge Guillermo Regondo, another man who's on everybody's lips when it comes to the conversation about the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world. 2-time Olympic champion who is peerless as a professional.
But 35 years of age.
Yep, and is timing
and
going
inactive.
to be right? Yep. Frank Warren has proved masterful at guiding his fighters to big world titles, getting fighters at the right time for the men that he's in charge of. Guillermo Regondo, as you say, inactive, in his mid-30s now. The fight was offered to Tete last year, but he turned down the fight, feeling that at that point in his career, Regondo was just too big for him. Would have been a naturally bigger man. As there's another clash once again. Villanueva appearing to be in some distress. He's turning away. He's been cutting a forlorn figure in the boxing ring for a large portion of this contest. He's appearing equally dispirited now.
Well, to his credit, though, that could have been his way out there, Ronald.
Yes.
That could have really, you've got to give him a little bit of credit. Villanueva is a tough fight, it really is. He just hasn't been able to show it. And it's all down to Tete's poise, and his confidence and his boxing ability. We just know, like you say again, to sell himself to the wider public, he could close the show. He could have closed it a few rounds ago. But he's like a little computer in there, is Zolani Tete. He won't take any risk, works out what's the best strategy to go forward, and he sticks to it.
Cuffing left hand with the fighters at short range from Tete. Working away with the free hand. Villanueva tied up his right hand beneath his left elbow.
I feel for this kid here, Villanueva, because every time you throw a punch and you miss, it makes you more tentative to throw the next one, and it's almost like a virus. You know, the more you miss, the less you want to throw, and that's what's happening to Villanueva right now. You know, he commits himself there. That's the southpaw orthodox little thing there where they both clashing heads there. That's the 3rd, 4th time tonight. But Villanueva, you know, he's struggled all night to hit the target clean. Whether it's been, you know, Tete's been too sharp for him, or he's just been a little bit too tentative, but knowing or afraid of what's going to come back if he does miss. And Tete's won every round so far, every round with ease. Let's see him close the show now, these last 3 rounds. Let's see Tete up the pace.
Seconds out. Round 10.
So Zolani Tete has done pretty much as he's pleased through the completed 9 rounds of this contest. Arthur Villanueva was cut in the 1st round after an accidental clash of heads, but he just hasn't found a way to solve the puzzle that is being posed in front of him in the form of the towering Zolani Tete. He hasn't closed the distance effectively with his feet. That's a good left hand to the body from the South African. Villanueva still proffering a poker-faced expression, but I think he may have been hurt by that shot. because he just removed himself from beyond punching distance. He's looking increasingly dispirited up there for me, is Arthur Villanueva. I think he was hurt by that left hand to the body. Can Zolani Tete step on the gas, assert his dominance further, and try and produce a stoppage? The first one on Arthur Villanueva's career.
Well, it'd be some statement win at the world level to get rid of him. Not to win, but to get rid of him inside the distance really would. And I think he's more than capable. There we go again. That's not the first time he's done a little lean back. Maybe Villanueva falls short for throwing that left hand over the top. And a little flurry here from Tete. He throws that left hand to the body. He may come back straight away there and bring it over the top.
Well, the respective countries that these boxers are representing produce some fine fighters down the years. No list of the continent of Africa's greatest boxers can be complete without mentioning some of the all-time greats who have come out of South Africa. Victor Wheel, Brian Mitchell, and maybe Tete is beginning to go through the gears a little bit as he tagged Villanueva with a good shot there. Villanueva continuing to fall short. Maybe Jake Matlala would be in a list of any great South African. Vuyani Bongu, Dinganto Bela. Out of the Philippines, Pancho Villa beat Jimmy Wilde to get the world lightweight title back in 1923. Goes with a hammer in his hand as Zolani Tete actually trains with hammers. Seen chopping away at mighty trees with small masonry mallets in his hand. Strengthening up those wrists, increasing that hand speed, and he's used those attributes to good effect tonight. That's a hard right hand to the rib cage of Arthur Villanueva, who's not only running out of ideas here, but he may be running out of steam as well. Zolani Tete demonstrating utter dominance. Hard right hand was parried effectively, but still the force was such that it caused Villanueva to lose his balance. 10 rounds in the book, all 10 of them surely have to be scored in favor of this man, Zolani Tete, who's doing pretty much as he pleases in this, a world title bout, albeit an interim one.
Well, he's not only winning the rounds, he's winning them so comfortable that it's almost too easy. It's disrespectfully too easy for him, I feel. And I think Villanueva is a decent fighter, but he doesn't look anything near the level of Zolani Tete, and it looks like a mismatch. But on paper, it's clear we know that it's not. I think Tete is just way too good for a guy who's not at the very, very peak of his abilities, and I think that's where we stand with Zolani Tete. He needs bigger tests. He needs a guy who's going to make him work. He's going to put him under pressure. And Villanueva, he just hasn't been able to get anywhere near that.
So into the championship rounds we go. Round 11 of a scheduled 12. Zolani Tete barely out of second gear here. He's shown flashes of his hand speed, cameos of his punch picking. And when he chooses to use that right jab, well, the contest becomes even more difficult for Arthur Villanueva, who has struggled to have any meaningful success all contest long.
I don't feel disappointed.
Oh, that's a cracking left hand. Came behind a right jab and forces Villanueva to touch down. He was up immediately. I think it's a flash knockdown, but perhaps the punishment that he's absorbed through these completed 10 rounds, beginning to break the man down. It was another rapier-like left hand, caused Villanueva to take a trip to the canvas.
He just squared his feet there, Villanueva, not for the first time, and when he got what he deserved, really. That's an error that shouldn't happen at this high level. Bringing that right foot forward, and then got caught squared on him and had to hit the floor. Wasn't hurt, but that was his own doing there. But I don't feel sorry for him that he hasn't been able to win any of the rounds. It's just the fact that he hasn't been able to force the pace. He's going to come out this fight feeling disappointed that he could have done a bit more. Now he just feels to me that he's looking just to get a badge, get a medal for going the distance, and I think that's not the mindset you have. And I understand he's up against a supreme, boxer, much better physical boxer than he is, but he still has to try and win. And I don't think he's done that after about 5-6 rounds. I don't think he's really committed himself to try and win the fight.
It's been difficult to discern what his tactics to try and win the fight actually were, Arthur Villanueva, because given the disparity in reach that he's trying to overcome, he stayed in this type of posture for the majority of the contest. Hasn't been the busiest of boxers in front of him. Hasn't demonstrated much movement from the waist or the head to try and make Tete miss and then get inside and bustle away. But Zolani Tete, well, he's perplexed his man all contest long. Just hasn't been able to figure out the riddle of how to negate his height and reach and ringcraft. And as a result, he's been reduced to a peripheral figure in this an interim world title bout. Pushed to the margins by the expert ringcraft of Zolani Tete. Well, it's almost as though Arthur Villanueva has entered survival mode in this contest, just content to make it through to the final bell. Given that he's facing an opponent who's demonstrating that type of that type of outlook, we'd like to see Tete do more of what he did there, step on the gas. Yeah,
I think the onus is on Villanueva because Tete's winning every round, but you tend to feel because Tete is so far ahead, so dominant, that he's the one maybe who should be putting his foot on the pedal. He's the one who we want to get excited about. And I think every round's been pretty much the same, and even though he's been dominant and it's been a good performance from him, we're not going to go home talking about this performance because I think he could have got the stoppage. I really do. I think he's that good. He could have got the stoppage. He's made this guy chase shadows all night, and at this level, that is very, very difficult to do.
So into the 12th and final round then, the WBO Interim World Bantamweight title bout. It has been devoid of drama for the most part, and that is because Zolani Tete has sucked all the drama out of it, controlling the distance masterfully. His timing has been on point. All those elements combined to leave Arthur Villanueva on the outside, not only of the long reach of Zolani Tete, but of the contest as well. Two-shot salvos effective from Villanueva, but he's going to need more of that because he's going to have to knock his man out to win.
Well, that's the first time he's landed with 2 punches in succession. Maybe the first time he's landed with 2 punches all night. I know when you see some fighters and they're too good for their own good, that's Tete. We've said about Rigondeaux in the past, too good for his own good, and that's why Tete's been avoided for so long. And he needs the back end to get the fighters to fight him, I think.
Well, providing him walking into something thunderous in the final half of the final round, Zolani Tete is going to be crowned as the interim WBO world champion. Remember, Marlon Tapales of the Philippines is the fully fledged WBO world champ. Guillermo Rigondeaux is up at Super Bantam, where he's the WBA Super Champion. Rigondeaux's fought over here before, of course, remember. He beat Jazza Dickens. So, is there a possibility of the South African and the Cuban mixing it up here in the UK at some point in the future? That's all for down the line. The remaining minute of this bout, Zolani Tete just has to avoid walking into a knockout punch. Whereas in the final 40 seconds, Arthur Villanueva has got to throw everything at Tete to try and find that finishing punch.
Well, there's almost no point in doing it now. He left it too long. You just can't see how he hasn't been able to hit the target clean enough to even show he has any power to hurt Tete. And that's, you know, just, you've got to give Tete all the credit for that. You know, he kept that wide stance, he put pressure on Villanueva from the first bell with that front foot. And every time Villanueva, like, he is squaring his feet, every time he's missed, he made him pay for his mistakes. And then Villanueva's become, over the rounds, gun shy, and has been happy to just see the final bell out of the field. It's been another masterful display here from Zolani Tete, who surely wins this interim belt.
So the final bell to conclude 12 rounds of boxing for the interim WBO World Bantamweight title. Zolani Tete has administered a boxing lesson here tonight, completely outclassing Arthur Villanueva, and that's why he's receiving such a warm embrace from his corner team. Punch perfect from opening bell to last, rarely inconvenienced. He's all smiles among the team of Zolani Tete, because he's about to be crowned as the interim WBO World Champion. Arthur Villanueva, well, he heard the final bell, but he was really able to make this man uncomfortable. Barry, that's the prize that'll be strapped around the waist of Zolani Tete. You had one of those back in your fighting career, of course, in the super featherweight division, and that's going to feel immensely satisfying for Zolani Tete.
Well, he just wants a big fight, Tete. Now, I think he's gone. I think he's that good. He's gone past the stage of winning what belt he has round his waist right now. He'll be proud, of course, but he wants the big fights. He wants the biggest names. You know, the bantamweight division in Great Britain right now is thriving. So, you know, we got Lee Haskins is a world champion, Jay McDonald's a world champion, Paul Butler is highly ranked as well. You know, he's looking to get a world title fight as well. So, you know, the fact that Tete is based over here now, you know, makes the bantamweight division in Britain at the world level the most exciting it is. It's fantastic. But this man will be avoided like the plague. You know, you would. If I was fighting now, I wouldn't be able to say his name. I don't want to fight him. You wouldn't. If someone says Zolani Tete, I'd walk out the room.
So nice to see that respect between the respective camps after 12 rounds of championship boxing. I'm sure it was hard for Arthur Villanueva, but Zolani Tete looks as though he can go 12 rounds all over again.
Well, I was being critical of Villanueva, saying you got to commit. It's easier said than done when you're in a guy who's too good for you, and every time you miss, he punishes you. So, you know, you do become tentative. Your punches are slower. You know, you start reaching for your shots, and it makes it a frustrating night for you. So it looks like he wasn't trying, but he sort of was. But you tend to think in this sort of level of fight and the level that he's at right now, that he would at some point try and change a little bit of tactic, and he just showed himself to be a little bit one-dimensional, Villanueva. And Tete, as we know, is superb, and he fed off it all night. And listen, Tete could have done another 12 rounds. He didn't even break a sweat.
Well, the old boxing maxim is that styles make fights. And from Arthur Villanueva's point of view, Zolani Tete's towering physique made for a style that he simply couldn't deal with. Zolani Tete producing a masterful display over 12 championship rounds, and surely we're just waiting for the formality to see him crowned as the interim WBO World Bantamweight Champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of championship boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards, where we have a unanimous decision. Judge Phil Edwards and Judge Rose Lescend in agreement. They score the contest 119 to 108. And Ingo Barabas scores it 120 to 107. Unanimous in agreement for our new interim WBO Bantamweight Champion of the World, Zolani Tete!
So Zolani Tete with a wide unanimous decision points victory over Arthur Villanueva of the Philippines. 119 to 108 twice for judges Phil Edwards and Rose Lescend. Ingo Barabas scoring it a shutout, 120-108 in favor of the South African, and that is why he has that WBO strap proudly around his waist. Zolani Tete is the interim WBO World Bantamweight Champion after a punch-perfect display.
Interim WBO bantamweight championship of the world.
Okay, boys, if a call break, you take one step back. Don't throw any punches around the back of the head. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves, touch them up. Good luck, lads.
So referee Steve Gray just clearing the ring ahead of this contest scheduled for 12 3-minute rounds.
For the first round.
So we're underway, the battle for the vacant interim WBO bantamweight world title being contested between Zolani Tete, the southpaw, operating in the red boots and red trunks. His opponent in the orthodox stance in the knee-high black socks is Arthur Villanueva from the Philippines. Tete, a former world champion at super flyweight, hoping to get himself back and busy and in the world championship mix by securing this interim crown tonight. Unbeaten in 4 years, Zolani Tete competing in his 3rd consecutive contest on these shores. Arthur Villanueva fighting here in the UK for the first time. Counter left hand was a beauty from Tete, who found his range immediately with that southpaw left. And that is going to be a difficult proposition for Arthur Villanueva to overcome. How does he negate the advantage in height and reach that Zolani Tete enjoys?
Well, you've got to try and get under the reach of Tete, and also plenty of feints. You've got to try and draw that long right hand there of Tete, just to try and then charge him inside. But Tete's ring generalship is superb. He takes the centre of that ring, forces you around the ring with that front foot, forces you to make mistakes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Warren, in association with 32 Red Foot Asylum and Raynham Steel, brings to you a 12-round contest for what is now the vacant interim, WBO bantamweight championship of the world. Now, our supervisor is Marianne Palatin. The British Boxing Board of Control steward in charge is Martin Flory. Our timekeeper tonight is Brian Heath from Sutton Coldfield. And our judges are Phil Edwards from Preston, Rose Lassen from Philadelphia, and Ingo Barabas from Stuttgart. And when the action gets underway, our referee is Steve Gray from Fleetwood. Time now to introduce the boxers. First of all, in the red corner, he is wearing the black shorts with the silver flash. He weighed in at 117 pounds. He brings to the ring a record of 30 wins, 16 of those coming by way of knockout, just the one defeat on his ledger. He is from Bacolod City, from the Fighting Philippines. He is El Matador. He is King Arthur Villanueva. And his fellow challenger across the ring for this title in the blue corner. He brings to the record a ring record of 24 wins, 3 defeats, 20 of those wins coming by way of knockout. He is the former IBF super flyweight champion of the world. He's unbeaten in 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tete time. Please welcome Zolani Tete. 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant.
So the judges telling them it was a clash of heads.
Yep, Steve Gray, Steve Villanueva going around immediately, but Steve Gray has just informed the respective corners and the officials at ringside that the cut has been caused by a clash of heads. So if that cut causes the contest to be stopped before the 4th round, it will be declared a no contest. If the same injury cause is about to be stopped after the 4th round, then the rounds that have been completed will be scored and we will go to the scorecards.
And a clear first round there for Zolani Tete. Looked excellent.
So into the 2nd round we go. This matchup between two accomplished boxers. Good right hand scored by Villanueva to start the round, and he's trying that same shot again, just falling short with that 2nd attempted right hand.
Well, he'll feel more urgency now for Villanueva to get some work in. Try and pick up some rounds if he can.
Falling short with that left hand, he's going to have to take it to Tete, particularly after conceding the opening round. Tete such a sharp puncher, particularly with his straight shots. And he'll no doubt be targeting that injury. What a cracking southpaw left. Villanueva nods to acknowledge it because he was hit right on the button by a terrific left hand.
And the things with Tete, there's no telling his punches, no little movement, no little like move down with the arm before he throws it. He doesn't even move the shoulders. It's just wham, straight away. So like a little whip.
Standing in a wide-legged posture, Zolani Tete completely commanding the ring as he wants to this point in the 2nd round, dangling that right hand down by his belt line now. And really, Arthur Villanueva has done precious little in terms of offense in this 2nd session. Out of punching range for him, falling short with his attempted forward forays. And Zolani Tete in complete control, trying that rapier-like left hand again, but he just fell short on that occasion, did the former world champion. But then Villanueva falls short with his own backhand. Good right hook out of the southpaw stance from Tete.
Well, Villanueva's trying to counter, but I don't think it's not going to work for him. And if you've got to counter, you've got to throw in flurries, but even then, Tete, being such a big fighter, he can have that wide stance because he can lean back on the back foot, and he's still going to make Villanueva fall short. Villanueva has to commit. He might have to take a punch coming forward, but he's going to have to commit. He's going to have to try and push Tete back. Heads in then, again, close. And you'll get that with an orthodox and a southpaw fighter when they're both committing, especially with the backhands, and heads might clash.
Good right jab from Tete once again. Villanueva trying to get some movement from the body and head going. Good right hand to the body from the man from the Philippines. But Tete very patient, very efficient. Getting his feet tangled with the Toblerone at ringside. Arthur Villanueva. Referee Steve Gray on it in an instant. But again, look at the lead legs clashing between the orthodox and the southpaw fighter, as well as the heads, which has caused Villanueva some problems, sustaining that injury in the opening round.
Villanueva's doing some good work. He's getting that front foot on the outside, but Tete is so big for the weight that he's still not having no joy from doing the right things, Villanueva. It's all, oh, look, that's a lovely well timed, and again a nice wide stance, just takes a little lean back onto the back foot. There's Tete, and see, because he's so big, Tete takes a little half a step back. Villanueva was going to attack, half stopped himself. You know, he knew he wasn't going to reach the target, then it was in no man's land and got caught there. You know, you don't punch when you feel like you want to, you punch when you feel like you need to punch, and that's the difference with Tete. Such command, such poise.
Snaking right hand to the body from Tete. Villanueva, one of his ring monikers is El Matador, but one suggests he's going to have to perhaps play the onrushing bull if he hopes to get inside the tentacle-like arms of Zolani Tete here tonight. Falling short with that right hand, but at least he doubled it up and not just producing a one-and-done offense, because if he does so, well, the first one is likely to fall short unless he quickens up his feet.
But again, you see the footwork of Tete there. Just no, Villanueva commits himself to the attack, and Tete just takes 2 steps back. And because he got such a wide stance and such long legs as well, keeps himself safe at all times, gets out of trouble, and always looking to fire back.
Heads came together just momentarily there, and it's interesting, the sole loss on Arthur Villanueva's record in his 31-fight ledger came on a technical decision when he was stopped when the bout went to the scorecards after a cut. That was in the 10th of a 12 round of a world title challenge against the Puerto Rican Olympian Joe Arroyo back in 2015.
Because Tete puts that front foot so close to you, it forces you to throw punches when you don't want to. I'm just seeing earlier on Villanueva threw that right hand. Tete made him fall short with the left hand and counter over the top, and I think Villanueva's cut as well, just in the corner of his right eye,
Yeah, we're
on top of the nose.
Keeping a close eye on that. We're going to have to wait, see how significant the cut is. There's been no notification as to whether it was caused by a shot or a clash of heads, but the heads did come together in that opening round, and there is the injury that's been sustained above the right eye for Arthur Villanueva. Let's see if we can take a closer look.
Oof,
Coming together violently there.
Clear clash of heads. I don't know whether Steve Gray would have seen that or made it aware. Yes, I just see Steve Gray looking to the